Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here and you're looking for a trading minimalist by keeping it simple, then you're on the right channel and you should subscribe. So today we are looking at Bitcoin, and in particular we are on the 1 hour time frame. What we can see from the most recent price action is that the pair Bitcoin dollar is kind of in an uptrend. It made an impulsive movement here, and then kind of sideways here, then another impulsive movement here, and then it stays within this support line and this resistance level here. So it's kind of another sideways movement, and I'm expecting the uptrend to continue further from around this point on. So in particular we are using three indicators. So the Breakout Pivotal Bars, which is the one that is giving the color to the candles, so either green candles, which means that we have a bullish candle, red candles, which means that we have bearish candles, and blue candles, which are indecision candles, meaning that it could be interpreted either as a bullish or bearish candle. So it could mean either trend continuation or trend reversal, and usually you should pay a closer attention when you have this kind of candles, not because they are key candles, but you should really focus on those candles, on the price action around those candles, in order to understand whether the trend will continue from there or will reverse. The second indicator that we are using is the sentiment index, and this indicator will allow us to build the setup if we get one here, as it looks like we might have. And then the third indicator is the levels and zones. The levels and zones is the one that is giving this support and resistance lines, along with these buy areas and in green and sell areas in red. As you can see, the indicator played quite well with the most recent price action. You see here that it said, well, this is going to be a support, and have a look at this situation. So we had a previous support here, and then the support moved down here without any further indication that this was going to support. I mean, it was not tested at this point, but as the price moved on its way forward, then it went down and actually tested right this level. So the level started here, but then it was tested here. So it's a very great indication, well ahead of time, where the support or resistance might be in the future, even not considering what happened in the past. So here we had a support, and then we had kind of a resistance here. As you can see, it played quite well. I mean, it was broken to the upside, but just slightly, and in fact you see that the price barely went above the buy area here, the buy zone here, but it always stayed within, and then it went back down and stayed back down. It tested again but couldn't go any higher, and then it finally, when this new support appeared, then it finally made its way through and went to, let's say, the next level, so above here, and then started moving sideways, but as you can see, still within our levels, our resistance level, our support level. And just like I said before, in this situation, see what happened here. So the support started here without any previous indication of it being an actual support, and then what happens is that after some times, after days in this case, it turns out to be an actual support. So it's a really powerful indicator, maybe not for building a setup, but for the extra confirmation of the setup. There are circumstances where I use this indicator to build a setup just with this indicator, and there will be videos in which I explain how I use this, but the greatest contributor of this indicator is to give the extra confidence, the extra confirmation of an opportunity that you are building. So in this case, we are concentrating on this situation right here. So we have, let me draw this for you. So we have an impulsive movement here. You see, it's very, very impulsive. And then we have a consolidation, which is the typical scenario that we are looking for when we are trading with the breakout pivotal bars and the sentiment index. So we have an impulse and we have a consolidation. Let's see if this is right. Yeah, it's right. Okay. And then what we also have done here in the sentiment index is that the sentiment is decreasing. The bullish sentiment is decreasing. So how should you interpret this situation? Well, it's not that there is divergence like you would say with an RSI. No, you should interpret like this. If you see here, we have the zero line, which is the point where the sentiment above is bullish, below it's bearish. And as you can see, the bullish sentiment has fewer and fewer room to go. So it is pushed to the downside. So what's going to happen quite soon is that either the sentiment turns bearish, so it goes down and the bearish sentiment increases to the downside. In such case, the consolidation, let's see, let me draw this. The consolidation would break to the downside, and in this case, I'm not interested in the setup. Maybe you could be interested in a reversal. I am not. I don't trade this kind of setup. When I build this setup, impulse consolidation, I'm just looking for trend continuation. So if it's an upward movement, I'm looking for a breakup. If it's a downward movement, like maybe this one here, I'm looking for a breakdown. The second scenario that could happen, which is the one that we are looking for, is for the bullish sentiment to be pushed more and more to the downside, and then it finally pops. It pops to the upside, and at the very same time that the bullish sentiment pops to the upside, we also have a breakup here in the price. We have a breakup of this consolidation. Moreover, and this is where the levels and zones comes in handy. Moreover, in this particular scenario, we might have, it's not for granted, but I hope to have a breakup which goes above this resistance. So if we have a breakup which goes above this resistance, then it's a very great indicator that this is a great setup. Because not only we have the price action breaking up and hopefully in a green candle, so the breakout pivotal bars would signal that the breakup is valid, but also we would have the sentiment index popping to the upside, and then we would also have the price to move above this resistance, so this resistance would turn into a support. This is the ideal scenario. It doesn't always happen, but in most cases it happens. So this is what I'm looking for right now. Let's just wait and see what happens. Okay, so I'm into the trade. Sorry for being a bit too late, but I'm into the trade. The price made exactly what we were expecting. It happens very frequently, so it's not something to be surprised. What I did was just to track the consolidation, because previously the consolidation was more like this, and then we had a candle which tried to make its way beyond the consolidation and beyond the resistance, but it couldn't make it, so it closed within the previous consolidation. So I had to move the trend line of the consolidation up, and also at the bottom it turned out to be a kind of a channel slightly to the upside. Same applies with the sentiment index. I had to move it a little bit higher because previously it was down here. But as you can see, when the sentiment index broke, we didn't have a breakup here, so I just moved it to track the consolidation, And what happened now is that we had a breakup. We also had the breakup in the sentiment index, and we also had a break above the previous resistance. So that resistance now turned into a support. So regarding the stop loss and the target, well, for the target, as usual, I set it to be of the same length of the previous impulses. So I just, as you can see, I just took this impulse here and projected it to the upside. So this is the target. And regarding the stop loss, technically it should be below the consolidation, the lowest point of the consolidation, but in most cases it never comes back down all the way into the consolidation. So I typically like to place it maybe halfway into the consolidation, or just below the breakup candle. So as you can see, the breakup candle is here. I just place it a bit below. This is my typical setup. Of course, this is mine. Yours could be very different. So be sure to test the indicators, test your setup, refine it with time, and adapt it to your overall trading strategy, to your overall risk attitude, so that you can maximize your profit. What works for me, it might not work for you, and the same applies on opposite. So trading is always something personal, and when you define a strategy, you should stick to your strategy, to your rules. So the trade is now open, and let's see how it plays out. We are now a few days into the trade, and as you can see, a new resistance formed up here, but I like to point out what happened here. As you can see here, the price went straight back down to retest the previous support level. And guys, do you see how important it is to have a stop loss, a generous stop loss? Because it will always protect you from losing a trade. I mean, consider if you saw this impulsive movement. You got into the excitement of saying, whoa, this pair is moving up with an impulse, so I'll keep the stop loss very close to my entry level, and what would have happened is that you would end up with a loss. Right now we are in profit, because let me extend this. We are in a small profit. I don't know where the price is going. I'm expecting it to move to the upside quite impulsively due to this whole price action, but of course I cannot know where the market wants to go. I'm expecting it to go above this resistance. Why? Well, first of all, for the price action. As you can see, it's forming a nice consolidation, small consolidation here, and this is typically a bullish pattern, so it should move to the upside. And the same applies for the sentiment index. Do you see same reasoning that we made before? The bullish sentiment is now compressed, is the bullish pressure is improving, so it should pop to the upside anytime soon, because I mean, there is no much room to go here if it wants to be bullish. If instead it turns to be a bearish movement, then we will take this loss, and that's it. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so this pair clearly wants to move higher. What happened here is that the candle went straight back down into the stop loss level, into the stop loss area, but then it closed well above the previous resistance line. So this clearly shows that the price wants to go higher, and it is also supported by the sentiment index. So I'm expecting the price to continue higher, and for this reason What I did in my trading account is that I moved the target to be a bit higher in order for it to be a risk reward of 3. So what I did was to move it to, let me see, I move it here so that my risk reward is 3. This is my new target level, and of course this is pretty speculative, so you should not do if you're not confident in doing it. What I did to balance this risk was to move my stop loss to break even, so that in the worst case scenario I will not lose any money. Why did I do it right now and not before? Well, before, as you can see, the price was barely into the let's call it the target area, so it was pretty close to my entry level, so I couldn't make it. But right now that it went past the resistance, and now this level is acting as a support, and all the most recent price action right here, which is pretty bullish, I decided to move the stop loss to break even and then extend a little bit the target to the upside, even considering the fact that on a macro point of view we are in an uptrend and we are also in an impulsive movement, so it should move quite fast to the upside. Okay, so the trade is now over, it's closed, and we reached the target with a 3x return. Actually, the price went straight up all the way to, I mean, it's crazy. This movement is crazy, but it went all the way to almost 4,800 and then closed a little bit lower, well past our target. Well, can we predict this kind of movements? Not always. In this case, as I said before, I was expecting it to move impulsively to the upside, and it did, and that's why I moved the target a bit higher so that I could take advantage of this kind of situation that was building. But of course, with this kind of price action, you do not have all the elements to predict such a movement. There are situations, rare situations, but there are situations in which you can predict this kind of very extended impulsive movements within one candle or two candles, but this was not the case. So overall, I'm happy that we are out of the trade with a 3x return. It is even higher than what I was expecting when I first started the trade. So I'm super happy, even though it's a pretty average return. But with a 3x return, it means that right now we can still lose the next 3 trades straight, 1, 2, 3 trades, losing trades, and still be profitable, which is phenomenal, because when you have this kind of confidence and this kind of returns, it means that in the long run you are always going to be profitable and your trading account will build over time. So guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like it and subscribe if you didn't already. If you have any comment, feel free to leave it below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.